Enemy MOAB incoming.
Hey guys, how you all doing? It's Kirsty, as usual, with another gameplay commentary, and this is going to be another episode of Q&A without the Q, because I am a little bit concerned about some of you guys with your dirty minds and the quality of questions that I would be asked. Although this is just a small minority, because I know the rest of you guys are absolutely fantastic, but I can just tell from some of the random dirty comments that I do get. And I'm actually thinking soon that I might actually start sharing some of these with you all. Sort of a bit of a shame the stupid douchebag sort of thing. I won't be naming names or anything like that, because I'm sure people will, otherwise publicly humiliate some of these guys. But I would actually enjoy sharing some of these things with you guys in future, because some of the messages I get over YouTube or PSN or even things people say in-game are absolutely hilarious. When I say hilarious, I mean truly roll on the floor laughing your ass off sort of hilarious. Not just the way that, people type that bullshit at the end of every message. What is with that anyway? Like, some people must be laughing their asses off all day. But hey, I digress. Let's actually get into some of these Q&A, without the Q of course, sort of questions. And I thought that first of all, that I'm figuring that some of you guys would want to know a little bit about what I do when I'm not playing. Or what I do when I'm not sitting on my ass talking to you guys. Because yes, it does seem like I do that quite a bit, but that is only quite a small part of my life. Because I have explained to you guys in the past that I actually have a boyfriend who has 2 children. I was going to say young children, but that's probably not actually correct, considering they're 11 and 13. And I'm sure that some of you guys that I'm actually talking to at home are going to be a similar sort of age. And so they're not young children. They're, I don't know, young people? Yeah, let's go with young people. That sounds good. So they always keep me pretty busy, especially 2 boys tend to be quite naughty and always up to lots of mischief. Some that is quite, bad and involves quite a lot of intervention on my behalf. So that does take quite a bit of time doing the whole parental thing, as some of you other guys who have children of your own do understand. But when I'm not doing things like that, I do enjoy rollerblading. Not the whole, the way you see those people in their little knee pads and their little wrist guards strolling down the beach in their little bike shorts. No, that's not me. Not at all. Some of you guys would have seen my vlog just recently that I do actually do a bit of aggressive inline skating. So I thought that I might bring a little bit of that up. I actually don't get to skate that much at the moment, because in Melbourne where I live, it's just going into winter. And I know everyone thinks Australia's this great, hot, sort of place. And it might be in some parts of Australia. Up around the top end, which is the opposite side to where I live, it is quite nice and warm and sunny and that sort of stuff that you see on the postcards with the Great Barrier Reef and all the little scuba divers all swimming with the fishies. Yes, that does happen in some parts of Australia, but not exactly where I live. We do have fish and all that sort of stuff, but it is very cold, so they're not tropical marine fish. They're more the ugly, boring, nice to eat sort of variety. So it doesn't quite get as warm here. Well, it does in summer, but the rest of the year is sort of average at times, especially as it's going into winter, as it is now, which makes it a bit more difficult. So you guys are probably going to see me online a hell of a lot more than, what I have been in the past. But just with, all the shitty weather. But another thing I like to do when it's all wet is I actually like to do art, painting, but mainly scrapbooking, which must sound pretty weird to a lot of people considering I do like such male-dominated hobbies. But scrapbooking is probably my one little girly thing that I actually enjoy. I do make a lot of photo frames and vases and decorations and stuff like that, so it probably still gets included as scrapbooking, but that's more my sort of thing, actually projects that are an actual useful piece of the environment as opposed to something just locked away in a book. And another thing that's sort of creative and all that sort of stuff, and I'm sure that people have wondered this in the past, is does Kirsty actually cook? With a name like Fragging from the Kitchen, I'm sure that it is something that have entered a few people's minds in the past. It definitely is in game anyway, as I'm frequently told to make people sandwiches and this and that. Gee, how original, huh? But yes, I do actually cook. I don't particularly enjoy it, but it is something that I am really good at. I have been forced to cook since I was 17 when I moved out of home. So it has something that I have had a little bit of practice with, and I do live with 3 boys, as I said in the past, so it is sort of essential that you know how to actually cook. It is a great thing to break up fights and things like that. There's nothing better than actually screaming, "Who wants cookies?" And then, yeah, people tend to forget about their problems pretty quickly. But it's not one of my favourite things. And what else can I really talk about? How about what sort of a job I actually do? Because I haven't actually spoken about this that much in the past, just because I do try and keep my clients' details and things like that quite confidential, and I won't actually be divulging anything personal today. It will just be a general sort of thing, which is why I don't tend to talk about it too much in commentaries, because I would get the urge to tell certain stories and things like that. And seeing as I actually work in a very similar age group to who are actually watching these videos, I really don't think some of these guys would randomly appreciate me talking about their tantrums and issues with the police on YouTube. So I actually work in child protection and disability services in community residential units. So I'm not one of those assholes that takes people's kids away from them. I'm just one of those assholes that cares for them afterwards. Although personally, I don't really feel like us workers are really assholes, considering a lot of the parents that these kids have actually been removed from in the first place. A lot of these parents really have no right to call themselves parents. And unfortunately, a lot of the reason these kids are actually in the system is because their parents are goddamn useless. A lot of these parents, their concern in life is getting themselves high and getting themselves laid and getting themselves money for their various habits, as opposed to actually making sure that their kids can eat and their kids can get to school and their kids can have some sort of a normal life. And it is really unfortunate, and it is a sort of hard place to work. But at the end of the day, I do know that some of these kids really do need some people in their life that actually give a shit and actually have their head at least semi-screwed on straight, which is essentially where I come in. I do tend to think that I am a pretty decent role model for some of these younger people. I have had a pretty full-on life in the past, some of which that I have brought on myself. I will admit that completely. But I think it is good that people work in the field that actually understand some of the issues that some of these kids actually have, as opposed to someone who's just read it all on paper. So it does seem to work out pretty well. All the kids tend to get along really well with me, so I can't complain, and I'm sure they don't either. It's actually pretty sad, but I actually think some of the kids at work actually like me more than what my own do at home. But you sort of get that, because my guys at home, they don't really know just how bad things can get, because they haven't had parents that treat them quite as poorly as what some of these guys that I work with have actually experienced. Anyway guys, that's probably all the randomness we're going to really be able to fit into this today. I will get onto the gameplay just quickly. This was a double MOAB fail. You would have noticed on the very first streak, I died on a 23 gun streak to some little bitchy bushwookie at the back of the map, hard scoping, and I should have known better, because I've had that exact same thing happen to me on the exact same gun streak in the exact same spot. But sometimes things need to happen a couple of times before you actually learn your lesson. Anyway guys, hope you've enjoyed this commentary for today, and I'll talk to you all soon with another Q&A.